Okay, so I thought I would do a couple readings today on my Kindle Vella stories. The only one that I've actually done a video on was I read a couple episodes of The Chaos Agent. So I've actually been kind of focusing my time and energy and efforts on my Kindle Vella stories instead of my books that I actually have completed and that are available on Kindle Direct Publishing. Vella actually lets you do ongoing stories where you can just release an episode at a time. And an episode is basically a chapter at a time. So I have 3 stories right now on Kindle Vella: The Chaos Agent, and then I have Double Crossed, and I have one called Tales of Submission. So Tales of Submission is complete at 14 episodes. Double Crossed and The Chaos Agent, I try to work on like weekly and release episodes. If you sign up for a Vella account, you get a certain amount of tokens to unlock chapters for free until you actually have to buy tokens. The first 3 episodes of each story are free to read, and then depending on your word count for your other episodes, I try and keep mine between like 600 to like 1200 words, so it's not very long, and that usually equates to like 6 to 12 tokens that you have to spend to unlock the episodes. And of course, I get a portion of those royalties. So, I guess without further ado, I'm gonna read an excerpt from Double Crossed. I'll do the description like I always do, and then the excerpt I'm reading from this one is episode 4, Veering Off Course. Okay. Matt doesn't consider himself to be a bad guy, but he's not necessarily a good guy either. Coming from a spotty past, he does what he has to do in order to survive. If that means conducting some shady dealings for quick cash, then so be it. But when a sketchy business deal with a stranger snowballs into him being hired to kill the man's wife, Matt is pulled into a situation that only gets riskier and more complicated when the intended target affects Matt in a way that neither one of them saw coming. Okay, we'll go down here to Veering Off Course. And this is the first locked episode. The woman stopped in the middle of the street and turned slowly to face Matt. He could see tears welling up in her eyes. Despite his reason for being there, when Matt observed her desperate, sorrowful expression, he found himself saying, "Can I help you in some way? I know it's none of my business, but it seems as though things aren't going so well for you." She laughed bitterly. "Yeah, I need some help. Any chance you have a gun I could borrow?" Matt was taken aback at the sudden contempt that was evident in her voice. "Do you really mean that?" he asked seriously. The woman stared at him, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "What if I did? Would you report me to the cops?" Matt had to hold back the laugh that threatened to escape. "Somehow, I don't see myself doing that." She studied him a bit longer, her curiosity obviously piqued. However, the sound of a leaf blower roaring to life at a house further down the street seemed to snap her out of her introspective moment. She jumped slightly at the sudden sound, then motioned to her house. "I'm sorry, I must sound crazy. I'll leave you alone now." "Wait," Matt exclaimed, opening his car door. She backed away, obviously on guard. "Look, I know I shouldn't butt in, but I think I could help you." Maybe she was suspicious of her husband. Smart woman. "I don't want to invite you into my problems. You'll be in way over your head," she warned. "Try me," Matt challenged. The two of them were having a stare down. Matt casually leaning against the side of his vehicle, while she was still standing indecisively in the middle of the street. As the moments ticked by, she suddenly laughed, effectively relieving the tension in the air. Shit, Matt thought grudgingly as he realized he enjoyed the sound a little too much. You're a complete stranger. Why would you be interested in my problems? Matt grinned and ran a hand through his hair before giving her a casual shrug. Well, maybe I was meant to stop on this particular street for a reason. Her stance relaxed, and she put her hands on her hips, cocking her head at him. You think so? Are you my guardian angel or something? She joked. Oh, you never know. Strange shit always seems to happen to me, he answered. The woman shook her head, a smile playing across her lips. Well, I guess if you're here to help me, I should probably introduce myself. She boldly walked forward and stuck out her hand. I'm Shea Rowland. Matt's smile faded as he took her hand in his. She wasn't a nameless stranger anymore. Jesus, he definitely would fail miserably at being a professional hitman. He refrained from introducing himself to her, instead saying, Nice to meet you. In the back of his mind, he considered adding, I'm the man who was hired to kill you. Their conversation was interrupted by a car traveling down the road. I guess we should get out of the way, Shea laughed nervously and gestured for Matt to follow her. God, now I'm going into her house, he thought, irritated with himself. Why don't I just shoot her after she offers me some milk and cookies? I really shouldn't impose on you, he said feebly as they reached the sidewalk. Oh, it's not a problem, Shea exclaimed hurriedly. It's just, well, my husband never lets me invite people over while he's gone. Probably because he thinks you're fucking them, Matt thought, against his will. He felt as though he was entering the twilight zone. He followed her along the path to the house. This is pretty strange. I mean, normally I wouldn't invite a complete stranger into my house. For all I know, you could be a murderer or something. Okay, so that's double-crossed. And I believe I have... let me check here. I have 8 episodes available on that story. The first one is called The Proposition. The second episode is The Proposition Continued. Third is Stakeout. Fourth, obviously, is Veering Off Course. Episode 5 is In Too Deep. 6 is Playing Both Sides. 7 is To the Rescue. And 8 is called Desperate Dealings. And you can look up Double Crossed on Amazon, Kindle Vella, under J. Eva Lee.